Yes, I went along with the hype today and saw Barbie and Oppenheimer back to back. I started this morning with Barbie at the West End Odeon in Leicester Square. I saw this on the big Dolby Vision screen with the massive Dolby Atmos sound. It looked great. The cinema was packed and there were loads of people dressed in pink. There was a really exciting atmosphere in the cinema. It felt like a proper cinema event. In relation to the film, I really enjoyed Greta Gerwig's two previous films, Lady Bird and Little Women, and I felt really confident that Barbie was in safe hands and that it wasn't just going to be a pink, girly film. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It made me laugh a lot. Some of the humour is simple and silly, but some of it is really sophisticated. The writing is fantastic and so clever. I think that people wanting a pink girly Barbie film won't be disappointed, but of those that see Barbie as problematic in terms of gender stereotyping, there are serious feminist themes underlying this film, but it never misses the opportunity to find the humour in this and to be really self-aware. Personally, I think it's amazing to introduce children to the concept of patriarchy, but it's done in a fun and non-preachy way. So my Barbenheimer day couldn't have started any better. I then moved to the other side of Leicester Square to the Cineworld IMAX screen. So this is where I realised that my Barbenheimer strategy was flawed. For me, this was definitely the wrong way round to see them. Oppenheimer is much heavier going than I thought it was going to be. I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan's previous films, but I really struggled to connect with this one. It has much less action than his previous films. The majority of the film seems to be people sitting in rooms talking. Even the test explosion of a nuclear bomb seems subdued by Nolan's standards. The actual explosion did look great on the massive IMAX screen, but this was a relatively short scene. In fact, I'm not really sure why this whole film was shot in IMAX. Unusually for Nolan, I don't think the IMAX was really necessary. I was also quite confused about the story. As is often the case with Nolan, it's non-linear, and it is a technical masterpiece of writing and editing, there's no doubt about that, but it just didn't engage me as I expected. At the end of the film, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to feel sorry for Oppenheimer or that he's a bad person or both. But I did have the thought that so much of the film is about him being tortured by what he's created, both emotionally and in terms of being subject to investigation and heavy-duty questioning as a result of some of his political associations. But very little thought is given to the Japanese victims of the bomb. We only hear that the bomb's been dropped on Hiroshima on the radio. Yes, Oppenheimer was tortured by this, but many Japanese people suffered terribly. Of course, I do appreciate this film is about Oppenheimer, so perhaps this makes sense. But to me, it did feel like an omission. So I felt very dissatisfied with Oppenheimer. Whether this was because I packaged it into this Barbenheimer day, I don't know. I'm perhaps going to give it another try and watch it as a standalone film again next week. I think it probably deserves that respect. The fun, uplifting Barbie just wasn't the best hors d'oeuvre to an Oppenheimer main course. I definitely would recommend both these films, but I would say that if you see them on the same day, see Oppenheimer first and go to Oppenheimer expecting an intense and serious 3 hours. Thanks for watching. See you next time.